Class is in session, this is the show where knowledge is profit, just so you know. Army Piper, OC guy, and Trade Fly, bringing crypto news to the whole alumni. It's the word on the market, the one-stop shop for the info you need every time that it drops. The go-to show that you need right now. This is Piper Academy, it's all going down, let's go.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Piper Academy. We got a great show lined up for you today. We're going to be looking at Bitcoin. Is it in a reaccumulation? Could Wyckoff have something to say about it? What is the levels that we must hold in order to be bullish? Plus, tomorrow, guys, a lot of economic data is going to be coming out that you need to know about. Plus, today, special guest, Trade Intuition, Joe in the house. All that and more today on Piper Academy. Let's get it. Classes in session. Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Piper Academy. I'm Army Piper. We come at you every Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, bringing you guys the news, the charts, and the markets, and everything you need to have knowledge, because here at Piper Academy, knowledge is profit. But I'm not doing the show alone today. We don't have Trade Fly, so flight school, no flight school today on the charts, but we might get some trade intuition. So as you guys saw in the thumbnail there, let me go ahead and bring up my co-host today, OC Guy and Joe from Trade Intuition with his crystal ball today on the thumbnail, and he's going to give us some intuition today. So what's up, man? How you doing?
Doing good, guys. Doing real good.
Awesome. OC, how you been, man? How was your night? Did you win? Did you win yesterday? Did you win the day? That's what I want to know.
To be honest, I did. The thing is that I needed to go into Home Depot and get some sealant for the ceiling. And then yesterday night, it was a freak show because I couldn't see anything. It wasn't raining, so that's the only time that I was able to seal my ceiling out of the rain. If you look at Merida or Mexico's flooding, you'll see how is it happening here. Oh my God, it's been crazy. Other than that, other than my hands being blackish because of that, base, asphalt based sealant, all good.
Tar. It's tar.
Tar.
It's tar.
Yes,
tar. It's such a hard word to say. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Lex Caliber in here today. Good to see you, bro. That is Lex G over there in the Chart Prime community. Always glad to see him in here. But Joe, it's been a while since we've had you on. You were on here in the past. An episode, but it's been a while. What have you been up to? How's your group going over there? Because I see you gaining some momentum lately. You've been all over the place on X Spaces. So what have you been up to, man?
Yeah, the group's doing good. Of course, the last time I was here, it was Trade Fly's birthday. Does anybody know what day that was? If you do, put it in the chat. Put it in the chat if you know when I was here last. And last time I was here, I had 24 subscribers. I appreciate you. I appreciate Alex O, Crypto. I appreciate everybody who's helping me grow as well. So, but yeah, it's been crazy. Nothing but good times, though. Nothing but good times.
Well, it's great. It's great having you here, man. But we're going to get into some charts because that's where your intuition comes into play. There is when we look at those charts and start doing some TA. So we're going to jump into the news, and then we're going to run in and take a look at what's going on with Bitcoin, and then we'll see what you got to say on your crystal ball there, because we're at some critical levels right now in Bitcoin, and I think some insight would be needed for all of the alumni. So let's go ahead and jump over into the news. Let me get that set up here. There we go. And bam, we're on the news. Guys, fear and greed index today sitting at 46. We're still sitting in fear, which is not necessarily a bad thing. The longer we sit in greed, the more likely it's going to go down. And just opposite of that, the longer we sit in fear, the more likely we could bounce up. And that seems to be what we're getting a little bit of right now. But guys, this economic data that's coming out tomorrow, we got to talk about that. So don't get too excited yet. Looking here on the daily, you see NOT up 12.7% there. Pepe is up 5.9. Fetch still Fetch AGIX still making that play in preparation for that July 2nd, I believe, is when they start doing it. It's the ASI merger of Ocean, Fetch AI, and AGIX, still getting that movement there. A lot of those meme coins still coming up like they were. We got WIF up 7.1% there, already up 4.7%. And Caspa, not a meme coin, serious project, moving up 4.1% today on the daily. Looking at the Bitcoin liquidations, guys, this has slowed down immensely. Look at this. It's like they don't trust that it's going lower and they don't trust that it's going higher. And in the past 24 hours, only 32,000. You guys see this. It's normally like 80, 90, 100,000 people. 32,146 traders liquidated. Total liquidations coming in at $80.7 million there. $4.2 million liquidation on ETH. Nothing big. What is it? It's nothing. It's just $4 million. Nothing. Jumping over here, guys. This is what you need to know. Today we got new home sales coming in here in about 23 minutes. Not the big deal. New home sales, it is what it is. As of right now, new home sales for the month of May, looking like it's going to be pretty much in the neutral range. 0.63, consensus 0.64, forecast 0.65. Tomorrow, though, and this is pretty interesting, guys. We got durable goods coming in tomorrow. Okay, that's how many orders are, what is the amount of orders in production goods, right? So I need to get this to make this as a company. This is the orders for that. So what are the companies ordering? Looking like it's going to be, was 0.7, looking like it's going to be 0 to 0.1, much less than what it was in the previous month. But this one here, check it out. There is a confluence going on here between the GDP growth rate and that GDP price index. And if you don't know what this is, the GDP growth rate is how the gross domestic goods of the United States is. The GDP, is it growing or not, right? Shrinking. The GDP price index is the price of the goods that make up the GDP. Are you guys with me so far? So check this out. The GDP growth rate previously is at 3.4. Consensus and forecast is that it's going to be 1.3. That means a slowdown in growth. We grew the quarter before at 3.4% over that quarter. The GDP is only going to grow 1.3 this time. That means it still grew, but it slowed down on its growth rate. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. The GDP price index. This is the cost of the goods that make up what made the GDP. Okay. 1.7 previously, consensus and forecast 3.1. That is called inflation. It almost doubled on what it takes to create the goods that make the GDP, but the GDP did not grow as much as the price did. So we are slowing down in sales that make the GDP, while the cost of those sales is going up more than double for the quarter, guys. So I think that tomorrow we might get a shakeout on this, because this screams weakening economy when you see the growth rate climbing very little and the cost of the goods doubling, more than doubling. So just keep an eye on that there. It won't be good. Then we go over here. I got to talk about this article, and then we'll jump out and talk about this great article and this GDP stuff, guys. Florida man back in the news, convicted in a cryptocurrency theft home invasion. Remy St. Felix of West Palm Beach led violent home invasions to steal cryptocurrencies, targeting multiple states over several months. A federal jury in Greensboro, North Carolina, convicted him, he was 24, of leading multiple violent home invasions aimed at stealing victims' currencies. He faces 9 counts, including conspiracy, kidnapping, Hobbs Act, robbery, wire fraud, and brandishing a firearm to help carry out his crypto-targeted crimes. This followed a trial that exposed his leadership position in an international conspiracy to target United States citizens for their crypto assets. According to a press release from the U.S. Department of Justice, Sandra Hairstone, U.S. Attorney for the Middle District of North Carolina, stated the victims in this case suffered a horrible, painful experience that no citizen should have to endure. The defendant and his co-conspirators acted purely out of the greed and callously terrorized those that they targeted. It uncovered a multi-state crypto crime, guys. It was in North Carolina, Florida, Texas, and New York between December 2022 to July 2023. The crime gang used physical violence, kidnapping, and threats to intimidate their victims, forcing them to access their crypto holdings to the perpetrators. One notable incident happened on April 12th when St. Felix and his people, Elma Ruben Castro, forcibly entered a home, zip-tied their victims, and demanded access to their crypto accounts. The investigation on it showed that they tried to cover up their tracks using sophisticated money laundering techniques and encrypted communication. However, investigators connected the crime gang's activity, arrested the criminals, and held them accountable. The big reason that they thought they could get away with it. It's not hard to understand the rise in crypto crime that's increasingly prevalent these days. Crypto is an easy target because the assets are digital, not held inside of a bank, and because of the belief, that's the key word there, that the blockchain is anonymous and that laundering crypto is simple, which they found out because they got caught that is not the case. So, Joe, we'll go to you first. What do you think about this crypto, man, and this international crime spree that's taking place of selling crypto in the U.S.? It's a little scary, in my opinion, but I stand on the grounds of FAFO because I have 2 gun safes, more guns than should be allowed. And then also I have 3 combat veterans in my home. So I wish MF would, but what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, I'm storing my cousin's pew-pews over here, and he prepares for the zombie apocalypse. So just give you a heads up. But what I have to say about that is be very careful with who you tell or who you talk to about your personal crypto. You can let them know you're in crypto, but once you start flashing, your Ferraris, your Lamborghinis, you start, flashing all these wads of cash. You have your man purse or your satchel or whatever they call it, and with all your thousands of dollars, you become a target. So just be careful.
Absolutely. And if you're a content creator, you're just effed. So here I am. OC, your thoughts on this? I'm surprised this type of stuff doesn't happen in Mexico more than it does in the U.S. But what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I don't know. I mean, right now, crime is at the top of the order. I mean, insecurity is going worst. Kidnaps are growing. Disappearings are even growing. In fact, the United States released a kind of like some proof or investigation that the current government kind of like or the military itself kind of like mash up with the cartels to do some cleaning work, let's just call it like that, right? But I don't know. Other than that, I'll be agree with Joe. You always need to be very, very careful, and not specifically with crypto, but everything with security these days. I mean, we see chaos everywhere, right? And there's a great book out there. I don't quite remember its name, but that talks about cycles, and we already are so far in within the within the breakout of this cycle that we should already be going out, but instead we're just jumping in. So do expect that society keeps breaking down until a point that and let's call it revolution. I'm not talking about war, right? I'm just talking about some generation, and theoretically, millennials should be the ones that come in front and say, you know what, new generation, stop it. They just put it, this is what it works. This is what we're going to be doing. And all generations also stop it. This is not longer working like it is. And it should be renewed at this, right? That is the theory behind these cycles, right? So talking about chaos, I think it's kind of like it's going to get a little bit worse. Just saying, right? But other than that, I don't know. I always been careful, and I think I will always remind being careful.
Yeah, Mark Dutch said in Mexico they don't threaten, just you and your crypto disappear. Poof. So there you go.
Yeah.
Shout out to Tradefly. He's in the chat right now. He said, Joe, you better do glorious things sitting in that seat because you're sitting in the Tradefly spot right now. So not
Sure
even in
am.
a guest spot. You are host number 3 today.
Nice.
So tomorrow, let's talk about the economic data that's coming out tomorrow because that GDP price versus that GDP index is telling two different stories. Actually, they're telling the same story from two different angles, and it don't look good. Again, just a recap on that, you got the GDP saying that, hey, the growth rate is slowing down. The GDP growth rate is slowing, which means that people are buying less and they're paying more according to that GDP price index. So, Joe, I'm sure you're seeing this at the store. You're sure you're seeing it at local businesses around your place slowing down. People just don't have as much money to spend, and if they do, a lot of it's on credit. And then on top of what they're buying, it is a whole lot more. According to this, the price index said it's doubled, more than doubled in the last 3 months. So, what's your thoughts on that, and how do you think that's going to play out on the markets tomorrow?
Yeah, it just frustrates me. It really does. Before I didn't know any of this stuff, and of course, knowing Piper Academy, and every morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm always watching for this particular type of information. I didn't know any of this stuff, but I mean, as you look at it more and more, you see that the government, everything's slowing down, but yet we're still in trouble financially, and we will continue to be in trouble financially no matter what they try to do, increase the rates or whatever, until they stop printing money. That is the cause of the problem. So they can do everything else; it doesn't even matter. So, how is it going to affect tomorrow? Well, I just have levels, so we'll see. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what those levels are. I think that we get a little bit of a uptick today. I think tomorrow we get a little shakeout of that data coming in, and it pulls us back down. But I'm watching this key levels that we've been talking about here on the show, which is that golden pocket. But I'm curious to see what you have on your chart. Let's go ahead. Speaking of charts, let's go ahead and jump into some Bitcoin TA. I'm going to pull up my chart here and just show you guys what's going on here. We're looking at a 4-hour chart right now. What I'm watching here is this. We do have this bounce up. We talked about this was the target level that was in side of our newsletter that we put out here on the show. We got this rejection off this 50% line. This 50% line is coming off of this channel here. It's a downward channel that we've been in. And I said, I do think that we're going to come down into the middle of the golden pocket to touch that eventually. I don't think this is over. That's why yesterday we talked about more pain is coming. However, pause for effect. Right now, I do think that we might get a little bit of an uptick today. I'm not sure how high it's going to be or how much it's going to be. It might just range inside of this area, but I do think that we're going to come back, and that 59.6 is going to be the key level for us to watch. I will point out here that we do look like we're kind of setting up for either a spin down here on this oscillator ribbon, but because we got this little, you can look, it's almost like a goose head here, getting ready to come back up too there. We do have red candles printing on the RSI primed, but it is not given any big size candles to give indication of downside. So right now we're in a wait and hold pattern for the next 4 hours. Joe, let's go ahead and kick it over to your chart. I want to see what you're saying and what you got on your chart for Bitcoin, because I'm very curious to get your perspective on this.
All right. So for Bitcoin on my chart, of course, we're in this range. Right now, we were looking at this possibly being a bear trap yesterday. And of course, more time has gone through. Of course, this is on the 4-hour time frame. We did have one candle breakout, 2 candles breakout, 3 candles breakout. For me, that's a confirmed trap. And then if you have more than 3, 3 to 5, that's even better. So of course, we did have our 5. This confirmed our trap. And then as soon as we confirm the trap, it starts coming down. But we do have a level at 61.1. It needs to maintain above this level in order for us to potentially still be, doing good-ish, I guess you can say. But if it comes back down, and if we lose this level 56.5, danger. I see it as danger, because then our next levels, in my opinion, 52 and 50. This is where hopefully, if it does come down here, we can get some really nice discounts on alts. But this was my plan A, and this was my plan B. But now, again, we have to be fluid, just like water. Every day they give us more data. So once it came down here, started producing this trap. Now it might go up before it comes down, because hopefully it'll come down. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm seeing also. And shout out to Germany in the chat. He was looking for Ace Attorney, and it popped up this in his search criteria. Welcome to the Piper Academy. We're glad to have you here, man. Let's go and jump over, because before I go to OC's chart, I want to talk about a couple of things. Something that he's going to bring up, and then something that you just brought up, Joe. Looking here on this article, and actually you said 56.5. Well, Bitcoin price must end June above 56.5 to defend its uptrend. So you are not the only analyst out there. They're publishing other people's work here saying the same thing. Evidently, Trade Intuition could be in a news article talking about his levels. There you go. So we need to get, who is this? Cointelegraph needs to come interview Joe from Trade Intuition. Bitcoin risk losing it all. Its overall uptrend, if it ends June below 56.5, the new Bitcoin price warning says. In market coverage on X on June 26, Trading Source Resource Material Indicators highlighted a key line in the sand for Bitcoin, which I'm not going to go too deep into this. He just told you why. But should bears gain the upper hand, the 56.5 level from 7 weeks ago will form the floor of a bottoming zone that buyers need to defend. So, yeah, your TA right in line with what they're saying here in this article. And then the other thing that I wanted to bring up here is for OC before he goes into his charts, because little thing called, you may have heard it, the Wyckoff reaccumulation trading range. You might have heard of this, OC. Let's jump over and take a look at what it's saying here. This was put out by Jelly. He said Monday morning hopium. He put this on X, and he shows this little range here. You can see the sideways range that we've talked about on the show, that it's just ranging inside of Bitcoin is. And then you have this very sharp pull off, taking it down, which we've seen in the past week. One thing that he's talking about here is this accumulation range, where you have upper support, upper resistance, bottom support. You trade sideways in this range, and then all of a sudden you get this creek that just starts pulling down. It takes place right before the retest at the top of that range and the breakout. Now, keep in mind, as long as we don't break that lower level of this, then the Wyckoff accumulation pattern is still in play. And if you look at what we have going on at that level there, that Joe, we're here, Joe, I'll pull it up on your chart because you just showed it. That bear trap over there, that's that level on the left where it has to stay above. That's coming in about 56.5. So we are in that Wyckoff accumulation range right now there. So let's jump over to OC's chart and let's see what he can get down on all of that and describe.
Absolutely. So let's dive really right into it. Let me go to the first chart that we've been talking about, because Wyckoff is something that I really like, and I've been kind of like bringing it up every once in a while, maybe if not too many times in a while, right? So let me just bring up what we were looking at previously. Let me also lock this, and this was the Wyckoff chart that I was expecting, right? By the way, guys, if you're starting on Wyckoff, check out Wyckoff. And this is WYCKOFF, but on Binance. That is kind of like the simplest way, or the simplest kind of like a patterns to start looking into Wyckoff. And there we go. This is what we were looking before. And as you can see, the similarities basically going up. Something very important, it is the spring that I was thinking that this was the spring because it had all of the characteristics. But now, let's just take a look at something in here that is happening. For example, right here on Wyckoff, the reaccumulation. There's a little bit of a caveat here because it is not exactly as it's drawn. Nonetheless, remember the charts are not perfect, but look at what we have in here. We have a lower range breakout, then we have the upper range, we have the spring, but between the upper range and the spring, we usually have this movement to the downside. In fact, I don't know, Piper, if you showed it just before. I was just looking at the charts, the previous Wyckoff chart that you that we were talking about.
Yeah, I showed it, and it's that downward range right there before the breakup. Yep.
Exactly. So just bear in mind when you search for Wyckoff chart patterns that many of them are very, very different, but at the end of it all, there's follow the same structure. All right. Let's just take a look at this area right here, which is the creek, right? If we go to Bitcoin and then we zoom in here, let's go to the 4 hour, we'll see that we have that creek basically playing out very, very nicely, and this is it right down here. So we have the spring right here, which, by the way, this is where the caveat comes from, right? Let me just clear my charts a little bit for you. There we go, much better. And that is because the spring usually is lower as the previous lows, right? So again, once again, our charts are not perfect.
And
We're
we're
all
back.
good. Yeah, we had a buffer there. I don't know what happened, but we're still good. Go for it.
Hello, hello, hello.
You're good. Go for it. OC. Okay. Well, it looks like we're
All right,
broadcasting.
I think my audio is gone. Could you maybe
I
take
think-
back?
I think your audio is
Piper,
gone.
I'll be back in here in a second.
Yeah,
Let
go
me
ahead and
just
do that.
maybe
I'll
reset
jump
my
over here and
audio or
show something on my charts. Joe, if you need to bounce back in, do it also. But I don't know if you can hear me or not. Okay. Okay. Looking here, guys. Let me know in the chat if you guys can hear me. I'll wait and see if you guys can. Let me make sure. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Can you guys hear me in the chat? Okay, you can hear Piper and OC. Good. Lunar, can you drop in the chat and let them know to drop out and come back in? Because you guys
so I
you guys
hear
can hear me
on YouTube, but I can't hear you on the.
Yeah, just re-enter back in because my broadcast is working. You guys disconnected your audio is all it is. Okay, let me jump into here and show you guys what's going on. While they're reconnecting, it looks here like we have this Bitcoin short. These are shorts. These are how many shorts are open, and you can see it's just kind of sitting stagnant.
Oh, perfect.
No one's really going in the shorts a whole lot. But looking on the long side here for Bitcoin longs, guys, look at this line that people are longing on here on the 4-hour chart. It has not been this high since going back to March. When we were hitting those, and we were actually coming down from that when we were hitting all-time highs back then. Right now, people are starting to heavy into long. So if we do have downside, it's going to be that shakeout against those longs. Shorts are not as deep as the longs are right now. You can see there the shorts sitting down, the less shorts being opened up compared to the longs that are coming in. So, and everyone is dropping back into the chat now. And into the team. So that is a good thing to see. Let me know, OC, Joe, can you guys hear me?
Perfect.
Yes, now I
Perfect.
can
All
hear you.
right, that worked. We're good. OC, let's kick it back over to you. Share your chart, and we'll get it back over to you. But I was just telling them how the shorts right now are slowing down, but longs, Bitcoin longs, are ramping up hard right now as people are entering into long trades on Bitcoin. So let's jump it over to your chart, and you can finish doing what you were doing. I don't have your chart shared here, though.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I forgot I need to do that once again. There we go, I got it.
No worries, man. The joys of live. I love it. Let's go.
Absolutely, it's all about problem solving, right? So this is the tweet that we were looking with Piper here, and as you can see, this is the part that it seems like we are up to, and there's a little bit of something that we need to pay attention, which is, remember, right here in this chart, we don't have a spring being shown, all right? But that's why I was showing you this one in here. Why? Because we have a spring being shown in this area. That's exactly what we're waiting for. Let's wait for that spring confirmation. Remember that we confirmed the spring. This right here was confirmed on the breakdown and then break back above. All right. The same thing we're going to be doing right down here. Let me go to a cleaner chart. Here we go. And we're going to be looking for a breakout retest and then forming a new trend line right down there to find some support, a breakup. So look at also our oscillator. We haven't been able to break through that oscillator. So if for this time we are able to break back above the zero line, we are golden, and I believe that we're gonna be on a reaccumulation pattern here. I'm gonna copy this link, and I'm gonna be sharing it on Piper Academy's Discord. So if you're not part of that Discord, please join, because Piper himself does some great shows in there. Also, Crocs the Crypto, man, this guy, it's fire. And we share a ton of valuable information, and also we keep track on you guys on the Discord. So other than that, turning it back to you, Piper.
So I got one more article I want to talk about, because a lot of people in the chat are talking about that bottom is in. We're seeing that in the longs, as the longs are heavy in growth right now on the chart. So let's take a look at this article, and then we're going to jump in and start doing some TA on some altcoins. Guys, let us know in the chat what altcoins you'd like to see, and we will take care of that for you. Let's jump into here and take a look at this article. Here's why the Bitcoin bottom is in. New highs are imminent, according to, quote, a crypto expert. I love that line. Crypto expert Duncan recently expressed a strong conviction that Bitcoin has reached its market bottom and is poised for new all-time highs. His analysis shared on X provides a detailed examination of the current market dynamics and underlying fundamentals that signal a bullish turn for Bitcoin and potentially other cryptocurrencies. Is the bottom in his in-depth analysis, Duncan pointed out that the crypto market has been underperforming relative to equities over the past few weeks. This trend was a concern until a pivotal development emerged concerning Mt. Gox. You guys know, we talked about this yesterday, that Mt. Gox has announced that they will be releasing their Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash in July. I think it's July 2nd that starts. And then there's this market behavior of sell-off because of that. The expectation billions of Bitcoin being distributed to creditors has been anticipated by insiders, leading to a temporary market dip, is what he's saying there. He's looking at this stuff, and we'll just talk this out. I can talk about this easier than looking at this article. Here's the deal. We've seen time and time again where Mt. Gox news comes out. It scares everybody in the space. Oh my gosh, all this Bitcoin is going to be released. These guys bought in at $300 Bitcoin or lower, and now all of a sudden they're going to be able to sell this and take profit. These are old school Bitcoin guys, in my opinion. These guys are in this for the long game. Might they take some profits? Sure. But at this point of where we are in the 4-year cycle, I don't know that many of them are going to sell off. I think that what's going to happen in July is that we're going to have this shakeout. We might hit those bounces on that 56.5 range for a while. And then we will see a move where people realize it's not being sold off, and it's just going to rip off, and it's going to shock a lot of people. But those longs that I showed you guys on the chart, some of those are going to be shaken out in that pullbacks. So once that settles out, I think July we actually see a pumping month towards the middle to the end of July. So Joe, what's your thoughts on that? You've been around the space for a while. We've been talking about Mt. Gox fear and FUD for a long time, and I do believe that is a big reason that we're seeing the market of crypto, especially taking the hard hit that it's taking beyond being just a high risk asset. So, what's your thoughts on that? Are we going to see a green July at the end of the month, or what's your opinion?
I think we will see a green July, but we're going to have a sell-off prior to it, or even if we are good, just due to the whole Mt. Gox thing, I think it's going to come down. But we're going to end up being green anyway, because in my opinion, I believe that there's going to be a lot of buyers coming in. Any news for crypto in general, whether it's Bitcoin or whatever, is good news. So whether it's hackers or Bitcoin coming back due to the Mt. Gox, any news is good news. So for the space. So I think there will be a sell-off. In addition to Bitcoin being sold off, there's also Bitcoin Cash as well. Mm-hmm. Bitcoin Cash, I believe, is going to take a much harder hit than Bitcoin, but Bitcoin will take a hit just because, it's money that these people didn't have. If they're smart, they'll hold it. Man, if they're smart, they'll hold it. But if they just want to cash out just to get something, that's why we might see that dip. So that's my take on it.
Yep. OC, real fast on you, and then I'll give my last segment of Bitcoin and before we head into those alts. So.
Absolutely. Before my opinion, I just want to make sure that I throw this out there that I'm not 100% with the, I don't have the 100% of the knowledge on what is the deal, how they're going to be getting back their money. But this is
They're
my
getting
theory.
it back. They're getting it back. They're getting it back in Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. So
all right,
there you
but
go.
what about the US? I remember that they do have the option to choose between Bitcoin and US dollars, right?
No, I think according to the article, it's coming back in Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. So,
Perfect.
yeah.
So I still believe that what they want to do is to hold as much Bitcoin as they can before the sellout, and that is because, or the release, that is to keep people the happiest that they could be. At the end of it all, Mt. Gox, I mean, it's been in mouth of everybody since it happened. So absolutely, we're gonna be seeing a retracement on Bitcoin. That I have no doubt about it, but I don't think that it is gonna be like right at these areas. I believe they're going to be a little bit more smart about this. And once we start breaking this range is exactly when we're going to be seeing that sellout, just to make sure that we do not have, like complete meltdown of the markets, or specifically on Bitcoin's markets. I don't think that none of them are really into, like getting back their Bitcoin and then seeing it plummeting down, right? But other than that, that's what I think.
All right. We do have a request coming in for alts now. So OC, if you want to take care of that, looks like Vet, Quant, some other stuff up in there. But I want to show one more thing here on Bitcoin. Just so you guys know, like I'm not talking, and I want to shout out Crypto Pollo, Cluck Cluck. He said, I think that we got lower. I'm not saying that we won't break 56.5. I'm saying we won't candle close, or we should not. We cannot close a candle below 56.5 on higher time frames like a weekly or a monthly. If we do, we're changing the trend there. So let's go ahead and get into what I'm seeing here on this chart. If you guys take a look here, what I'm talking about when I say that, I do still think that we could wick down to this 52 range. That's this cluster over here. We've talked about this for a long time. But on the weekly, we need to keep a candle close above that 56.5 or 56.3 range right in here. That's that wick there. We need to keep a candle close above that. I'm not concerned about a wick. A good wick down and then bouncing off of that would close out all of those longs that we talked about and then move to the upside. But something that I want to point out here is this chart. This is the SOPR, guys, that down here on the bottom. And one of the things that I'm watching here, shout out to Bitcoin Hyper. He was talking about this on a show, and absolutely brilliant. But if you just go in here and you put in SOPR, it is the spent output profit ratio. Glassnode is the one that I'm using right here. And if you take a look at this red line, it actually signals when we have had these bottoms of this SOPR, or the tops of these SOPRs, and we get the sell off, and then we tend to do some action here, and I'm going to show you what that action is. But you can see we just had one of those that printed here on 11 March, indicating that this was a top. Let's go back here in time. We'll take a look. Here's another one that we had back here in 2021 right there. That is that indicator popping again hot there. From there, you can see that we did have a pullback from the top of that down to the bottom of this wick, about 30% move. Okay. Moving off of that, though, that move, it went, let's do that. It went all the way up to the first move, about 123%, 124%, before we went into that summer lull there. And then ultimately made the all-time high, the previous all-time high, the last cycle. Go back a little further here. We have another one. You can see right here, we printed this in the mid-cycle, had a nice little pullback afterwards. And if you take a look at what that cycle looks like compared to this cycle, it is very similar. We've had this double top here on this one, but back here, we did have this up. It came down, it went back up again, and then pulled back down. This move here from that top range to the bottom was a move of about 36.5%. So again, in that 30% range. And then from that move to the top, obviously we're not going to do this type of run up again, but that was a 537, 540% move there. And then one more cycle back here, you can see again, we had another one that printed right there. There's a thin line next to that wide angle one, and you can see that at that level we still went up after that. These are right after or right around the halving events, guys. And if we take a look here, it is very possible that we could see this do the exact same thing that we've seen in previous cycles, where we're in this range here. We get the indicator and then it runs up for the rest of the cycle. So I just wanted to bring that up and show you guys what the SOPR was telling us, because it does give an indication that long term, we're still in the build cycle for this bull market run. So let's go ahead and jump over and start doing some altcoins. OC, what do you have up? Do you have one going, ready to go?
Yeah, absolutely. I have something that I was researching, but yeah, you can throw it back to me. So the first two that got requests, by the way, Trade Tuition right here on the chat, you can see that we have a private chat on Piper's window. That's what I'm sharing with you, the request that we have. So we have XYO, LCX, Solana, Quant, and BCH. Guys, remember that if you want us to take a look at any cryptocurrency or any asset, please leave it in the chat. We're going to be reading it. So this is the first time that I see XYO network, and I was looking at what it's about. So it's talking to be trade on certain crypto exchanges, but I did not have enough time to do over that research, but I absolutely can do my analysis in here. So let's go over daily, because this is a new, this is going to be new information for me. So the first thing that I can see on daily, it is that it's fairly, oh, I thought it was fairly new, but it is not. We have enough data here. But what I can see is that we have these big movements on this token. So the first thing that I could be maybe taking advantage, it is this kind of movements. So how would I be trading this without knowing what it does and whether it have value for me or not? Because remember, I'm not saying that it doesn't have value. It's just that I'm not aware of how this token works, right? But I can still have a strategy which is measuring the movements by size of how it moves. As you can see, they're kind of like the same pump and dumps that we can see from the base of a movement to almost the top of it. So what I'm going to be adjusting, it is basically for the smallest movement, and I'll be maybe calling this one like that. So what I could be doing is just waiting for it to start becoming bullish, or at least to start having a breakout in here. So what I'm going to be looking at right now is that we are below the dynamic reactor. Let me zoom in here. And for me, that is not a good signal right now, but something that it is, and absolutely is, it is my prophecy. It is going to market pumps. Not only that, I'm trying to make a move above that zero line. So good areas of entry at this point. I will be throwing here maybe some support and resistances, or maybe some liquidity areas. And what I see right here is that I have a discount zone. So I could be looking for also some support resistances like that, right? Adjust them a little bit to catch those weeks. And that will be a good entry point, or after we break out, retest, and then maybe some trailing option between equilibrium and the top of that range. So that's basically how I would be looking at XYO for the daily. Let's go to the 4 hours just to see how is it playing out in here. Seems like we have defined a trend line, or a very simple trend line in here. Let me do it manually so we can see it right from this bottom to this up. And as long as we don't lose this trend line, I think we're good to go for a possible change of structure that we have going on here. Why? Because this is telling me that we are ranging, all right? So outside of the range could be just breaking up. Once again, we need not to lose the trend line, and we need to break above the zero line. If we break the trend line or we reject out of the zero line, do expect a possible entry right here at 0.0054. So remember, this is not financial advice. Do your own research, and turn it back to you guys. Muted?
Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
Let's jump over to your chart there, Trade Intuition, and we'll see what you got. But I do want to give a shout out to Lunar Beaches. He said, OI flat. I can't. I think it says spot buying, increasing spot at the premium, funding negative. Shorts outweigh the longs. Negative news on the dip. I've seen enough. You aren't bullish enough. So shout out to little LBC there. Let's jump over and see what you got looking at your chart there, man.
Awesome. So this is a Bitcoin Cash, and for Bitcoin Cash, I do have this on the. I started with the daily time frame just to get my levels right here. This is a really nice trading range, really nice, between 517 and 424. It's underneath this range. We do have a smaller, really tight range. For me personally, though, of course, none of this is financial advice, but for me personally, I would wait. I would wait at least 15%. You may think, oh man, why would I want to wait 15%? Well, because what could happen is if we entered now, it could be in this zone for who knows how long, and that's if the Mt. Gox doesn't dump it. So this could be a couple days, a couple weeks, but if you set an alert right around here, right at 440, then once it finally does what it's going to do and breaks this level, then finally gets our alert, hopefully we can see that a 4-hour candle closes above 424, then we enter. Now you know that the trend is changing. I love doing trend trading. So once the trend changes, it's much safer and easier to get into profitable trades versus other styles. I still use the other styles though, but it's just safer. And right now with it going up and down and nobody knows, sometimes, of course, you get good trades sometimes because of the market. But for me personally, I wouldn't bother with it right here. I would wait 15% for it to reach this area. And then, of course, your first target would be right here at 509. And then you can have a stop loss fairly tight. I'm guessing around 8%, right around 405. And that's just your first target. But that's what I would do.
All right. Yeah, I got Sol over here on my chart. Yeah, that's looking pretty decent there. I can see that. And that would still be a bullish trend too. So let's jump over here to my chart and take a look at what I got going on here. I'm looking at Solana here on the 4-hour right now, guys. We have a fib pulled, and I want to show you where this fib is pulled from. It's pulled from this top here down to this bottom peak. And you can see we were almost into the platinum pocket, rejected. We tried to fight and hold that golden pocket and got a perfect rejection off of that back here in June 24th. And before we made the downside move, we tried to hold support at each level, just kept coming down. We saw the same pattern set up on Bitcoin. Right now, it looks like we're trying to break this 236. But there's a couple of things on here that you guys need to know about. Courtesy of the power of Chart Prime, let's go ahead and take a look here. One, we have this dynamic reactor that's coming in at this level right here, around $144, $145, about $144.50. Somewhere in that range. But if we throw on the Market Dynamics Pro, we can see here that it has identified a falling wedge pattern. That is this falling wedge right there coming down. We've got a breakout in the confirmed breakout with a smart target hitting in that dynamic reactor. Guys, if we do get a move up and break this 236, watch for a rejection hitting that smart target there at 144.80 and rejecting off of that dynamic reactor. According to Chart Prime, that is the setup that we have going here. It does look like we have a goose head building up here to the upside, which would give us that move that we need to get to that smart target. Again, this auto printed on here and said this is the measured, the algorithmic measured move of where they think it's going to go to. We've seen these play out time and time again. So be watching for us to come up there, hit that dynamic reactor and before we pull back. What I would like to see is a pullback to the 236 as a retest as support. That would give indication of more upside moves. So that's what I'm watching there for on Solana. Let's go ahead and kick it over to OC and see what he's looking at there.
Absolutely. Looking at Quan, we already have an ongoing analysis in here. And I want to show you something, guys, that to me, it seems like we could be having a movement to the upside. One of those things are the market prophecy, of course. The other thing it is that we are having a very, very, very compressed cloud right down here. Let me just get rid of it. Look at the last time we have a cloud that compressed, right? When we start breaking up, well, then that was an early signal to then pump, right? Let's see also that cloud compression. Look at that. When we broke up, we made that movement to the upside. But also, very important, we have one of the signals in here that is a strong signal, right? Let me give you a little bit insight. Depending on your tuning, for me that's 43. Usually I never jump in on those strong signals. I only jump in after the retracement, right? So look at that. I have this strong signal here, so I waited to enter in here for the short, and that was a very profitable one. Same thing goes in here. My scenario was jumping in here, and then I just waited for the retracement, and again, good scenario here. And after I keep bouncing off that dynamic reactor, I do the same. So let's go to the 4 hour just to chase after the trend that we have going on in here, because we can do much, much better. First, let's analyze what we were looking right here on this blue line. We were looking for a swing failure pattern, which we had, but the important thing, it is our oscillator. Look at that. We did not have the volume on that swing failure pattern that we were looking at, and despite we make that move on the oscillator right down here to the upside, right, we weren't able to break through. Right now, we're having once again that bottom being held by this support area, right? Remember, on daily, we have a compression of the clouds. And what are we expecting, or what are we having right here? A break to the zero line. What do we want to see? The exact same pattern that we were looking right down here, right? So we want to see a flip of the ribbon, but back to the upside right here as we break above, and then we go for the support. We're going to be seeing, or that's what I want to see, the flip of the ribbon to the upside. All right, let me remove that spaghetti. And then off we go. So my entry would be, for a very, very, very risky entry, will be somewhere around here. But better yet, after a breakout and retest. This is a little bit too extended, so maybe I can just go something like that and adjust this these lines or something like this. So that's what I'll be maybe trying to grab in here. Remember, I need to be above the zero line and stay above the zero line. Why? Look at that. As long as I stay above, let me mark this as I break above and then as I break below. What happened to the price action? It keep pushing forward. So the same thing I'm expecting in here. Remember, confirmation will be breaking and staying above the zero line, and also breaking dynamic reactor along this trend line. And this trend line came from our pattern or chart patterns in here that previously showed a bigger triangle. So basically, that's what I got, guys. I'll turn it back to you.
Awesome. Yeah. Shout out to Alexander G for taking care of that. You just got mod queened. I'm just saying. Guys, I'm looking at something here on Bitcoin. We're getting a little pullback, not much, but just a little slight pullback right now. At the same time that the Dixie is getting a pullback too. Little volatility shaking out here. One of the reasons that I think this is coming in right now is because we did get those new home sales. New home sales month over month, guys. It was projected to be up 2.9%. It actually came in down 11.3% here on the chart. You can see there forecasted. It was previously at 2, forecasted to be up 2.9% for new home sales for the month, dropped 11.3% for the month. So home sales slowing down. Also, another economic indicator causing people to get a little bit of risk off. So we are seeing that volatility start to play a little bit here. So I just wanted to point that out. Let's jump over and let's take a look at some more charts here. I want to see what we got going on some other stuff. I haven't even looked. Is there something else on here? Nothing shows. Yeah, I can't find anything on that either, OC. Let's go check out Alluvium. Did we do Alluvium?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you haven't done Alluvium.
Yeah. Okay, let me go do Alluvium then. And then we'll go from there.
I didn't take. Perfect.
I do have LCX up if y'all want that one.
Let's jump that, do that one then. Run with it.
All right. So for this one, it's another low mark cap. Forgot who put both of these on here, but both of them are low mark caps. But for this one, it's 152 million. It's an OD, and it's a launch pad. So this kind of helps me see what it is, because I don't know what this one is. Now, with that being said, would I enter this one? Nope. And it's so funny, guys. Kind of, it's funny. Like my stuff is really boring. I do support resistance. That's it. So my analysis is like literally 2 minutes, and y'all have like a lot of information. I love it. I love it. And that's one thing also I love about this channel, that, and TradeFly says this a lot too, where everybody can have the same chart but different outlooks on it. So with that being said, mine's pretty boring. What we got to do is we got to wait for this resistance to break at 0.2319. Right now it's looking bad. It's looking really bad. I wouldn't mess with it. I wouldn't mess with it until it breaks this level. Once it breaks the level, have your alert 0.2447. 4-hour candle must close above the mentioned area 2319. Once it does, then you enter. You have your stop loss around 10%, and then your target around 30%. So 3-to-1 reward to risk ratio, and that's all I got. Nice and easy. So that's it.
All right, let's jump over to OC's chart, see what he's got there, and then I've got some alluvium coming up.
Absolutely. Let's bring up Solana. We have, all right, since TradeFly is not here with us, hey, let's take his Soul Train. So Solana, I promise I'm not going to be doing market cap because I freaking love doing market cap on Solana. I don't know. There's something about market cap analysis on Solana specifically that I really love, and kind of like plays out to me. All right. So just a little bit recapping here on the class. We were looking forward to analyze how to where to get, or how to get your appropriate amount of leverage based on a strategy that is basically as twice as your stop loss. All right. So that's why we have those numbers up there, just if you were wondering. And here it seems like actually that calculation, it was pretty much a spot on right here. And we're looking for a drop down right to this area right down here. As you can see, we nailed it. By the way, that's why this was in place. It was a 1-to-1 just to do this analysis. So going for the worst case scenario, which means the best case scenario for us was jumping back down in here. It did happen. I did not jump in. I was not aware of this of Solana. I was not paying attention to it, but it played out very nicely. Also, something that we are seeing in here is that we have that beautiful reversal right at the bottom of the channel. So shout out to that chart patterns from Market Dynamics Pro on Chart Prime. And what is up next? Well, seems like, and let me just clear this up right here. Seems like we're making a little bit of a pennant here, bullish pennant, right? Also, you can see that we have a breakout line in here and a TP target right down there. Also, seems like we're making a some sort of goose head, but the only issue with that goose head, it is not at the center or above the center of the upper range. We're still bullish, by the way, don't get me wrong. Let's take a look at what had happened with previous other goose head that kind of like a turn around. Remember, we are looking for that overextension and then drop. All right, so the same thing we could be expecting here, maybe that overextension and then drop, and that'll make too much sense because we have that dynamic reactor. Remember, I'm not saying that we're going to go all the way down. What I'm saying here is that we should be a little bit careful because of this rejection that we could be seeing, right? I mean, of course that we could be making a new trend line like that, but that is out of the scope of this analysis because that is too far away into the future, and we need to take advantage of our indicators pair right now movements. Another thing that I'm seeing here is it is that we have a fair value gap that we could be filling back in. So if you miss this opportunity, this could be a good re-entry area as we see flip of the ribbon once again above the zero line. So that's what I got on Solana. So Solana not looking that bad. I wouldn't be entering right away. I'd rather wait for a breakout retest or for a rejection retest for a further continuation to the upside. So that's what I maybe will be trying to get, or where is what I will be trying to get in at Solana.
Yeah, shout out to LBC also. He said, don't be knocking that support resistance trading, Joe. It works. It just, it works.
It does. That's my bread and butter.
Yeah. Hey,
but it's boring though. It's so boring.
A 1956, Roadster may not have all of the bells and whistles of some of your high-tech cars today, but it still works for a lot of things. So
Very true.
let's jump over here, take a look at alluvium, man. Looking at this levels here on the fibs, we got this low up to this high. We did have a nice fight here trying to hold the golden pocket on alluvium, and then it got this pull down to the platinum pocket. But a couple of things that I want to show you going on here. One fundamental analysis, one technical analysis, and a shout out to, I believe it's Crypto Poyo that was talking about this. Yes, it is all valid data, so we got to look at all of it. You can see here that we did get the max profit. Typically, these call tops and bottoms. We did get a max profit print there off of Chart Prime's indicator. Wart line, please. Oracle Pro, thank you. We are below that dynamic reactor, so we guys, be careful with that. That is a bearish thing. Anytime we're below it, we're bearish. If we're above it, we're bullish. But I'm seeing a couple of things here that might tell me that this is a time to start dollar cost averaging. Not financial advice, but I might be picking up some alluvium today. Here's why. We hit into the platinum pocket, and we have now pulled back above the 786. That is one reason. Two, if we go over here and I turn on the Market Dynamics Pro, you can see that we had this falling channel that was going on here. And it did a printed breakout, confirmation of the breakout. It gave a smart target, and we hit it perfectly on the wicks, guys. Remember, when this breaks out here, it gives the target at that time. So back here on 18 June, it said that we were coming down to this level here on the indicators, and it has already hit that. So it has closed this breakout up, breakout down, I should say, closed it out. And now what I'm watching for is that we hold this 786 and continue for more upside. Of course, we do have to break back into this pattern. We do have the dynamic reactor, and we do have the golden pocket sitting up here at about $80.37. It looks like on the Oscillator Pro that we are doing a goose head, which indicates further upside movement typically. And then lastly, down here on the RSI primed, we are starting to get red candles, but they are holding support on that signal line, which means we could get a continuation of upside movement on this also. Lastly, I went ahead, he was talking about July 25th with the game, so I went and did some research, courtesy of good old Chat GPT. And I said, what is the notable updates and recent news on ILV? They said alluvium is set to officially launch its blockchain game on July 25th. So there's that date that he was talking about in the chat. This launch follows an open beta testnet phase that started on May 28th, allowing players to test and provide feedback. That beta is done, guys, and the official game launches as of right now on July 25th. On top of that, they got some layer 2 integration. It's built on a mutable X IMX token, a layer 2 solution that allows for NFT functionality with zero gas fees, which is going to greatly help out that game. So there is definitely some stuff there on alluvium to look at, and this might be a time to dollar cost average some alluvium for myself. You guys got the data. You can do with that what you will. But with that big of a change coming up with their zero gas fees on the NFTs, makes it cheaper that you're going to be able to get stuff for that game. And then that game actually launching there on the 25th of July could be a big move for alluvium. So that is all we have time for today, though. We are at the bottom of the hour. Joe, it's been great having you on today, man. We appreciate you coming in and taking a hot seat with us here and sitting down to talk about some simple yet effective TA, bro. So
awesome. Yeah, and I was afraid to hit that soul because I didn't want to do the soul train. I don't want to mess up anything up that TradeFly does. So I left that to OC, and OC did a great job too.
Yeah. OC is he's my rock in here, man. He's always here for it. So you got anything for the people on the way out, Joe?
I just wanted to say thank you guys. Thank you for letting me be on the show. And of course, tune in every single day, Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's what time it is for me over here on the East Coast. But the amount of knowledge that you get every single day from just the economic standpoint, and you need this. Like before, I didn't think you needed it, but you really do. Because if you know how the money is spent, and if you understand money, well, then that helps with understanding how to do the crypto. because sometimes it may be good to trade, and sometimes, hey, right now we're getting all these Fed meetings or Fed results or anything coming out. We just gotta wait to see what happens instead of, oh, I'm gonna open 5 trades. So man, I look forward to your show every single day. I really do. 9:30 my time, Eastern time.
I appreciate that, bro. Always an honor to have you on, man. And we just had a link. Alexandra G, shout out to her. She just dropped that link there for your show in the chat also. And all the links are down below. So make sure you guys follow Trade Intuition. OC, can you tell these people what they get if they hit that like button today?
Absolutely, guys. Thanks so much for joining today. Remember to click that like button right down there, because if you do, remember those old rusty brake pads that I start crying like crazy. Well, then if you click that like button and you go hack to those brake pads, that will last you one more day. So,
oh, OC, we love you, man. We love you.
And see those brake pads work.
All right, guys. That's all we got time for today. Thanks for joining us today on Piper Academy. We'll be back here tomorrow morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, bringing you guys that economic data, GDP data coming out tomorrow, guys. You got to remember, you got some conflicting data there, giving a bad story about the economy. So join us tomorrow morning. We're going to be going over that and taking a look at the charts, doing what we do every day. And until then, trade safe. And as always, use a stop loss.
I don't know what they keep telling me. Ain't no school like Piper Academy. We'll keep that front line covered, even when we're dead and gone. We'll find a way to keep going, cause we gon' keep on rolling out the wheels flow low. I know you hungry for knowledge, that's profit appetite. Classes in session, this for the Army Piper acolytes. Trade flag at the soul, train ready. What a line from OCI, former Mexican spaghetti. Yo, crunch crypto with a deep dive to reject dime. And if you like the visual powered by Car Prime, then you were part of that alumni, that's all spine. But if you have step, fall back to offline. We'll keep that front line covered, even when we're dead and gone. We'll find a way to keep going, cause we gon' keep on rolling out the wheels flow low. Sound off to get with them, the ZTS rhythm. Rip it, Alexandra.
Yeah, that's my alumni, you know what I mean.
That was awesome, dude!